tick, tick, boom.
Check it out. Got a new motor. The Trinity Double Down 17.5T Outlaw motor. This is the first Outlaw motor I've tested on this channel. I'm going to test this and put it up against the Rotor motor to find out why the Outlaw motors are considered faster than the Rotor motor. So let's open this box, take it out, take a look at it, and go learn something. Alright, I got the cellophane off. Let's go ahead and open this thing up. Before that, let's look at the box. Again, this is 17.5T Outlaw motor. It's called the Double Down. And the way Trinity's naming their motors now, with like they have their slot machines. The Double Down, you swear they're probably from Nevada or something, but they're actually from Florida. Nowhere near Nevada. Also, I like to point out this package. This package I looked at it and I'm sitting there thinking, you know what, this looks mighty familiar. Then I opened it up. That looks mighty familiar. This right here, remember this motor? The boxes and everything, the packaging, the exact same. They have the cross going here for the sensor cable. Same cushion, same box, and the Surpass one, I bet will fit right in here, just like that. So I think they have some type of joint venture together, probably. But how do they compare look-wise? Well, this right here is the Surpass. This is the fat boy. This right here is the Double Down. If you look at the machining, it's pretty much the same machining. They just did a little couple of tweaks here and there, make it a little different. But yeah, everything looks almost identical on the can being cut out and stuff like that. Anyhow, enough with the Surpass in there. But the Double Down. These motors are known to be extremely torquey. Apparently that's what makes them a lot faster, because you can gear them higher than a normal motor. The windings in them, what makes them Outlaw is the winding in them. The wire they use is a little bit thicker than the regular Rotor ones, the standard Rotor approved ones. So that gives a little bit more torque. This here looks very clean. There's a little bit, the winding's not as tight as I like to see them. It's a little loose in there. I don't know if you can see that. Maybe if I zoom this in a little bit. That's as far as I can get to zoom in. But the wire is very, very clean. Doesn't show any oxidization on it or anything like that. And just a couple little places, it looks like it might be loose winding. But machine work on it's great. Stator feels pretty strong. Feels like it might be maybe a little bit stronger than the Surpass stator. I can barely hold on to it when I spin it. But yeah, okay, let's say we go ahead and open it up, take a look inside, measure it. Maybe we'll it doesn't need to be shimmed, because that's pretty tight right there. That's pretty good. That's a pretty tight shim. So I won't do any shimming. I won't adjust any of that. I'll leave it the way it is. Even moving it back or forward, I won't do any of that. I'll just leave it exactly the way it is. I'm not going to put any ceramic bearings in or nothing. I'll just take it apart, do some measurements, and yeah, go from there. So to do a comparison, I mean, this video is mostly about comparing a Outlaw motor to a regular Rotor approved one. So I have here is the Trinity certified slot machine. This is the first edition. I don't have the second edition, but to get an idea of the difference, what they look like. So, but first off, we'll view this one here. The windings, like I said earlier, you can see a couple of them are a little loose, like right here. It's just a little loose. They're not as tight as I would like to see them. But mostly what makes these, the Outlaws, not Rotor legal, is because they use a thicker gauge winding on it. That's not approved. And there's also a few other measurements here and there that are not up to par. And also the rotor that's used is a rotor that's designed for a modified motor versus the slot machine's spec rotor. The inside of the stator, as you can see, is narrower. It's so narrow I can't get this right here inside of it. I can't put my sleeve inside to pull the rotor out. Where, so you look at this one here, you can see that's a little bit, this one over here, the Trinity slot machine, is a little bit bigger in diameter than the Double Down. And also you look here, you see the windings, you see the difference in winding. This one right here, the slot machine has a coating on it, where the Double Down does not have a coating on, but you can see that how bigger the whole winding thing is. The stator on the Double Down is also wider. So it's overall that, I mean, by looking at everything, the Double Down is just it's designed for just a tremendous amount of torque. Can't wait to get on the Loadmaster and then the Jerry and find out about it. But anyways, that's the difference between the two. Again, you have the 5% slot machine over here and the Double Down over here. Kind of see the difference in them. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this one back together. Now this one here, the Double Down, it only had one shim on the back, and it's pretty tight in there. The difference, if you look at the end bell, because I was sitting there looking at the end bell, if you look at the rotor, I mean, it doesn't even need a washer back there, a shim back there, because if you look, I mean, you have probably 2 to 3 millimeters between the rotor and the sensor board. The sensors, by the way, they go horizontal, not vertical like you'd see on a lot of other motors. Good or bad, I don't know. Some people like it because it picks up the sensors better. But you can see there's a lot of gap right there. And it's not like that when you look at the slot machine's end bell. You see how close it is there? This one you have to shim because as I turn it, you can feel it rub on the sensors a little bit. But if you look at the sensor boards, the sensor board on the slot machine, on this one here, sticks out a little further than the Double Down. I don't know what that does. I don't know what type of performance difference that is. But yeah, anyways, that's the difference there. The front of the end bells, I mean, they're almost exactly the same, except for the Double Down is gold anodized. These ones here, looks to me like they have the same sensor boards on the back. You can see here, just one of them's anodized, the other one's not. Alright. Okay, let's weigh the Gauss on the rotors. First, I'm going to read the one off the Trinity certified motor, the slot machine. And see, as you can see on one side, on the north side, it is, reset that, about 1763 is the highest. Then we go to the south side, $17.72. So 1763 and 1772. Now, let's weigh the double down. And reset that. Start off with the south side. We're already 1997, 1900, 2002, 2004. So 2004 on the south side, and then the north side. $1981, 83. So this rotor here is substantially stronger. This is listed as a modified rotor through Trinity. So, I mean, maybe that's another thing that's not legal on it. There's a rotor designed for a modified motor. And it has a Gauss reading that's extremely high. Alright, so let's go ahead and put this thing back together and see what we have. See if we can tune it and get this thing performing. Alright, first test we're going to do is we're going to run this thing on the Hobby Wing Tunalizer. We're going to tune it, get the right timing set on it. Right now the factory setting is about 30 degrees. Yeah, let's go ahead and slap this sucker in here. And let's see what this thing reads. Very quiet. Okay, we have a 1.78 amps. kV is 2314. Timing is 38 or 28 degrees. That's not bad. That's pretty close because on the end bell it said it was 30. So that's pretty accurate. 20.5 for A. 28.4 for B. And then C is 27.2. Let's try the end bell deviation. And although they're hoopla. Pretty clean motor. It's 0.5 for the end bell deviation. Rotary asymmetry is 2.6, as well as the Hall signal is 2.7 with a 82 degrees temp. Let's get the RPMs on this thing. RPM is pretty low. It's only 17,520. Say 17,530. All right, let's turn the time up and see what else we can get out of this thing. All right, turn it up to about 35 degrees. That's about 5 degrees up from my last test. Let's go ahead and run it. Amperage is 2.25. kV is 2408. Time is 33.2. Still about 2 degrees off from the readings on the end bell, which is good. 33.6. Find 32.4. 0.4 and 2.6, 2.6 with an 84 degrees. Okay. So I don't know if you said there. Sorry for the glare. I'm trying to get this where I can see it as well as you guys can see it. All right. RPMs. About 18,060 or 150 actually jumped up there, but it keeps varying. So I'll do 18,100. Go right in the middle. Okay, we'll go up another 5 degrees. All right, we are at 40 degrees, 5 up from the last one. So let's go ahead and slap this in. If you guys are wondering about this motor mount here, and you guys didn't see my other videos talking about all my equipment I use, this is from WMH Racing. This is actually the Rotor Master, or not Rotor, but the Load Master. They actually have just the motor mount itself without all this. If you just want the motor mount, it eliminates the need for alligator clips, so you just clip the motor in and out. So, all right, let's go ahead and get this thing started. At 40 degrees, auto run. Okay, 2.81 for the amperage. kV is 2492. Time is 38.1. You got 37.9 and 38.3. Trying to write all this down so we can keep track. And I'll put on my spreadsheet later. Alright, and then the end bell deviation. You guys see those numbers right there. And the end bell deviation is 0.1, 2.6, and 2.7. And 88 degrees. All really good numbers, really good numbers. Being that far away from the end bell kind of surprised me that it's still reading those numbers so well. So I guess it goes to show you that you don't have to necessarily put the rotor up against the end bell. Okay. RPMs. Okay, 18,710. Okay. Let's shoot up another 5 degrees and see what else this can do. Okay, now we have it set at 45 degrees. Auto run. Okay, 3.17, 2539, 41 degrees on the nose, 40.8, 41.3, and 40.7. Let's go to the end bell deviation. We got a 0.2, 2.6, and a 2.7 with 86 degrees. Well, the temperature went down. Odd. Okay, let's get the RPMs. Yeah, we got 19,000. So 19,050 is what it's bouncing around. So, all right. Shoot up another 5 degrees. All right. We now have it at 50 degrees. Auto test. Okay, 4.12. That's the amperage, and the kV is 2608. 46.4 is the timing with a 46.5. 46.7. 45.9. Zero 0.3, 2.6, 2.7, and a 90-degree temperature. So far, this motor's running pretty cool. Okay, let's take it up another 5 degrees. We're getting close. I almost forgot. I had to do the RPM check. Let's go ahead and check the RPMs on it. 19,440. All right. Let's go ahead and put up another 5 degrees. We're now at 55 degrees. Okay, auto run. Six amps. That's a big jump right there. 6.0 amps. 2718. 50.6. 50.8, 51, 50. Let's see, and we have our Endel is 0.3, 2.6, 2.6, and 82. So I had a little bit of time before I did this next test, so it did cool down a bit. But let's go ahead and do the RPMs. $20,450. 20,450. All right, now we just jumped up a huge leap. When last one was 4.12 amps, and this one right here jumped up to 6.01. That's almost 2 amp jump. That means that we obviously went past the sweet spot because none of the other ones jumped that high. So let's go ahead and back it up a little bit. Probably put about 57, 58. See what that does. I'm sorry, not 57, 58. 42, 43. Let's try around that area. Okay, I forgot what time it was. I was at 55 degrees. I went down about 1 degree, maybe. So let's see what that changed, because we're at the 6 amp. Usually with these motors, they're always between 5 and 6. Once you get up to 6 amps, it's over. But let's go ahead and see if that's the case. So right now it's about 53 50.3, 54 degrees on the can. Actual timing is probably going to be 47, 48. No, it's 50.02. Let's do that one there. It's 5.71. 2731 is a KV. 50.2. See, 50.4. 50.3. And build deviation. 0.3. 2.7. and 2.7, and then 88 degrees. I don't know if you guys had a glare, but these are the numbers right there. Now if you see, we went back. The one before this was 5.7. Well, I'm sorry, it's 6.01. And the amperage on this one is 5.71, and we went back 0.4 amps, and that was the difference. It was a pretty big difference. So I'm going to leave it there. That's about where I think it's good. You know what? Let's back it up one more and see what it does. But first, do the RPMs. Now you can jump around, do 20,400. All right, let's go back one more degree and see what happens. Okay, I kicked it back about 1 degree-ish. So on the can it's reading about 52 degrees. On paper, on the actual, it should be in the neighborhood about 49. That'd be my guess. So let's give it a try. Okay, auto test. Five amps and 2675 is a KV. 49.1 went down 1 degree. 49.3. 48.6 is the C. M-bell deviation 0.3, 2.7, and then 2.7. Temperature is 91 degrees. RPMs. $19,980. All right, let's go ahead and put the numbers in the computer, and we'll see how all the timing comes out. My guess is going to be probably leave it, maybe jump it up one degree. So, all right, let's go look at the numbers and see what we have. Well, we can't look at the numbers yet. I just remember it because the next step is the load master. Let's put this sucker on the load master and see what it's going to be. I'm going to jump up the numbers because the timing. I'm going to bump it up 1 degree. And I think that'd be a pretty good number. I could leave it where it's at, but I think 1 more degree would be better. I was going to bump this up a degree, but I decided to keep it at the timing that's set at now. I think that'd be better. On the safe side, when I show you my spreadsheet and I show you the numbers, I'll explain to you why. It'd be better explained why I did that. But now we have another load master over here. The load motor over here is the Surpass Lightweight, and over here we have the Trinity Double Down. So let's go ahead and run this thing. I bet it's just gonna, this thing's just got a ton of torque. So let's see what it does. All right, so we had a amp draw of 9.84, 2046 kV. Timing is 50.6, 51.3, 50.4, and 50.01. See, 0.4 on the M-bell deviation, 2.5, 2.6, and 91. See what we get for the RPMs. $18,600. I'll go in the middle right there. I just making sure the voltage wasn't dropping, but it's not. I'm on a power supply. So, all right, let's throw these numbers on the spreadsheets, take a look at them, compare them to the other motors, and yeah. Okay, here we are with the numbers. This is the best part. So before I start, I like to put my disclaimer out there. I know there's tens of thousands of racers out there, and because there's tens of thousands of racers out there, there's going to be tens of thousands of different opinions on what these numbers mean. And so what I'm going over with the numbers at is describing the numbers as is just strictly my personal opinion. If your opinion is different, please put it down in the description or in the comment section on what your opinion is and share your knowledge with us. So let's get into the numbers. Now, this motor here, it's a heavy motor. It's a 5.9 ounces. The rotor is a TEP 1149. Again, this is a modified rotor. It's a motor. It's a rotor designed for modified motors, not the stock specs. That's another reason why it's not legal for Rotor events. Tracks that are strictly Rotor follow Rotor rules. Also, you remember the windings in it are thicker than normal stock motors. The Gauss averages at 1993. The rotor did not weigh any more than the other typical rotors. It's the same size, same weight. It's just a lot more powerful. Stator length. Now, my digital calipers, I went to go take measurements. The battery died. I didn't have another battery. And it's Christmas Eve, and all the stores are closed. And so I didn't get to take the measurements. But either way, that's not too important because it's not really something that's going to take away the performance numbers. But the stator is a little bit longer than the slot machine stator. Stator IR. I do not have the IR on this because I don't have an IR machine. The IR numbers I usually get off the other motors, I get them from the Rotor website, because they test these motors and dissect them and all the other stuff. So, because Double Down is not Rotor legal, they never tested it. So that's why I don't have the stated IR. Stator diameter, again, my measurement, my calipers are down. Rotor weight, it's only 1 ounce, same weight as all the other rotors. Because again, it's the same size rotors, those stock spec motors. So that's not where the weight's coming from. The extra weight is going to be from those windings. This right here is just the date, December 2024, when I did the testing. Okay, now get into the numbers. The highlighted yellowish, orangish, tannish right here, that's after it's tuned. The pink is basically when it was loaded down with a load. So the numbers, it started off at about, remember the time was about 30 degrees. The current was 1.78. So I jumped up 5 degrees all the way until about this point here. I jumped up 5 degrees. If you see, as I jumped up 5 degrees, the current changed like 1 amp, just over an amp, 1.5 amps, and so on, until I got it up into like the 41 to 46.4 degrees. Then you start to see the amperage change, because I went from 41 to 46.4. It showed an amp draw here just over 1 amp, like 1.5 amp, or less than 1 point, like 95 amp or 0.95 amps. And then I jump up to 49.1, which is only 3 degrees more, and it jumped up almost the same amount of amps. And then I go here, I go 1 amp, and it's jumped up right up there close to an amp again. So right here, like I was mentioned before, I'm going to keep it at 5 amps. So, or keep it at 49.1 degrees, because this right here seemed to be the best spot for it, the more of a sweet spot for the motor. Any more, it seemed like it's working a little bit harder. 19,980, that's a very slow motor, slow RPMs. And then under load, 18,600. But if you look at the load, it's only a difference of 4.84 amps more than what it was without load. So if you look at the numbers, it's real clean. It's 0.3 in end bell deviation, rotor symmetry, and Hall signal deviation. It's all good. Temperatures were really good. They all stayed. I mean, the highest one was 91, and I'll show you the other motors and how it compared in a minute. So we get back down here. So it's a 4.84 amp difference. Loss of 189 kV, 7% is what it lost in the kV. And RPMs, it lost 1,380 RPMs under load. Now these are all highlighted red because these were the best numbers out of all the motors I've tested. And here's what the motors that I tested, all the other motors. So we have the Phoenix, the Tekin Gen 4 R2, the stock spec, as well as the Elite. You see the numbers on that, on how they compared here. And I'll try to go slow. If you need to pause it, go back and forth, you're more than welcome to. The Hobbywing G4R, that's a really popular motor. A lot of people are asking about that. Well, you can see here that the Double Down, I mean, the numbers are a lot better than the Hobbywing G4R. And then you go all the way up to the Trinity 5%er right here, 7.5% kV loss, about 1.5 amps different, all the way up to the surpass. Now if you want to, I'll scroll back down, I'll show the other numbers so you can compare those. But yeah, you see how the double down, the RPMs on it, even the Reedy has high RPMs, and the Reedy is actually one of the slower motors I've tested, the SP5. But yeah, so is this motor faster? Not necessarily faster. It just has a lot more torque. So what that means is you can gear this thing to the roof. I mean, you can put, let's say you normally with one of those other motors, you would use a 31 tooth. This Trinity here, you could probably slap on a 33 or 34 tooth. We'll know for sure once I get this thing on the Jerry and go through all the different gearings and see how it matches up with under basically the same type of loads. So my final thoughts on this motor, I think it's it's an Outlaw motor. It's not legal at most tracks. A lot of people run them if they can. They'll run these at the tracks that don't have them, that don't have the laws. Now I would not use this necessarily for a track that is wide open, long straightaways where you're constantly wide open on the throttle. My experience with these type of motors are they get hot. They get really, really hot when they're wide open for long period of times. However, short tracks where there's a lot of high traction, a lot of twisty turns, really technical, these motors, Outlaw motors, just shine because they just rip through there. But anyhow, that's my opinion. Better give us a better scale on what's going to happen, on how this thing operates. I'll have to slap it on the Jerry, so we'll see how that works. So yeah, if this hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you learned something. If you liked the video, please hit the like and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, hit the like and subscribe anyway, just so you can make fun of all my other videos. All right, everybody, you take care.